I pressed live way too soon and I realized I didn't click my video. So screw it. We'll just get right into it. No hour-long video. I'll let some
early
of you
release
guys
point.
roll in. Yeah.
Like in 2K, when you let go of the early release in 2K, and it's like, why am I hitting the front rim? Like, bro, you're not holding the sticks long enough, man. What are you doing?
Yeah, I hate 2K is weird, the timing, because every basketball player is different. So sometimes you play 2K with Steph Curry and that thing just freaking slides off his hand. Excuse me there. And
I suck at 2K.
Someone and they're just slow. Well, that's you. I guarantee you're probably good at FIFA. Guarantee.
Okay, Javi, just trying to put in hot soccer jokes like he just did a month ago. Now he's going to use that against us. I hope he's not watching right now. But yeah, I am actually pretty good at FIFA and Madden. So
yeah, see, exactly.
Everything else I suck though.
So you're acting like if I was making a wrong statement or something.
I should have played dumb. Just freaking made you look dumb.
Well, I appreciate all you guys. We were just having that random chat here in the beginning. Let some of you guys get settled in here. Once again, if you're already tuned in, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't, definitely subscribe to the channel, as well as comment with us. Let us know your feelings on the Fred Warner signing. I doubt too many of you are going to say it's too much, and almost all of you are going to say, I'm glad this freaking got done. It's great timing. Basically, same what they did with George Kittle, getting that done right before training camp. Make your players happy. Make your locker rooms happy. Give them something exciting to cheer about while training camp gets kicked on the way. As here with me, as always, Jose Sanchez of Sports Illustrated, all 49ers. How you doing, Jose?
Doing okay. Thank God that Fred Warner thing dropped because needed another news because literally just like an hour or two ago, I got pulled over in front of my house by the cops here that are pretty bored. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, pulled over. I barely rolled through a stop, and I'm 5. My house is 5. I'm 5 houses away from that stop. He could have just been like, all right, dude, you literally live like 20 feet from here.
He still gave it to you.
He was like, nah, here you go. Hey, of course not, bro. The cops in my city, they don't care. They'll mess with you no matter what. They didn't care. And it's like, dude, like, really? Like, you could just been like, hey, man, like, I see what you're doing here. You literally look like, come on, man. I'm literally right there. I'm pretty much setting it up, and there's no whatever.
Is it one of those stop signs to where it's like pretty much everybody rolls it, or were you just like
everyone in that area I know
that
rolls
guy
it
during the moment?
I mean, it is like it is an intersection, but it's a little, it's just a neighborhood. I don't live in a little
like stop.
It's a 4-stop, but everyone rolls through that one coming down because you're going down a hill, and unless like there's nothing on the left sides or someone's turning, because it's not really like not many cars pass by here. So I was really shocked there was a cop there in the first place. There's never cops around here. I guess they were just, I don't know. They're waiting. They're waiting for me.
Yeah, I feel like most people do roll a 4-stop. Usually the ones you do have to stop, obviously, when it's you in the street across from you, because you don't know when someone's just gonna pop out from the side and get T-boned. So I feel like most people 4-way stop it because you would notice if there's a car coming. Well, hopefully you notice cops and have better awareness like Fred Warner does on the football field. Fred Warner, as far as the details goes, he signed the 5-year extension, $95 million. I'm sorry I don't have it here on the bottom. There you go. And they extend him through 2026, 40.5 guaranteed. This is something that we all saw coming. It wasn't one of those things to where how they traded off DeForest Buckner. I feel like a lot of people were questioning if they were going to move George Kittle last offseason, since they just moved DeForest Buckner. And then Fred Warner's contract comes around. I don't think anyone thought about a trade for this guy. And if it was, maybe it was when Deshaun Watson was available, not, the current state that he's in. There's not anything bad I could say about the player Fred Warner. I don't think he's reached his ceiling yet as an NFL player, and I think that's where you get most excited about. It sounds like he's going to play on his current deal this season, and then the 5 years is going to kick in after. Because if I'm doing my math right, if it's a 5-year deal, you got 2022, 23, 24, 25, 26. So it sounds like he's going to play on his current contract, which is smart because Jimmy Garoppolo's still on the roster. You want to have that kick in when Jimmy Garoppolo's gone and Trey Lance is your guy, because you're able to just front load that deal before you have to pay a Trey Lance and a Nick Bosa What's your thoughts here on this, Jose?
Well, yeah, you mentioned the ceiling. Even if this is a ceiling, he's all pro caliber, so you'll still take that. I mean, I
Yeah.
thought it was a little. I was not to say get worried, but that's kind of like when I shot you the topics, like, oh, why is it taking so long? None of that. I was just gonna be like, well, there's still a little time. Even if he shows up at training camp without one, it's not that terrible of a big deal. But it was one thing I was gonna point out. I was like, hey, this is taking a little longer than George Kittle's, but to counter that, it's like, well, Warner's linebacker position gets paid dramatically more than what Kittle's getting paid. And, it's more of an impactful position, especially considering, he's tremendous in coverage, which, that's pretty much what you want any defender to be if you're not rushing the passer. Good timing. There's no better player, like you said, to give out a contract like that. You can think of the last person who fits the criteria that Fred Warner does, and that's DeForest Buckner. We saw the 49ers handled that. Now you have elite talent. Who guy is consistent playing, has consistent health, no health issues, looks like he's still getting better, leader, and is a high character guy out the field. Those are the players that you always extend without hesitation. They would have done the same thing with Buckner, but obviously, there was factors in terms of pay Ward, pay Armstead, get a first round pick. And I guess even you can say signing Kittle and now Warner, I guess, and you can probably play into that way if you really want to crunch numbers in that sense. But no, this is an easy no brainer. This was always going to get done. There was no worry. I'm just very happy we did not see so much spam every day from 49ers Twitter of hashtag pay Fred Warner, because last year hashtag pay George Kittle was so annoying. It was like, my goodness, dude, it's gonna get done. Or even if it doesn't, come on, man, every day, come on. I get the fun in it, but every day, come on.
Yeah, and it's like I think Brad from the SF Niners kind of trolled us a little. Is trolling it a little bit because he said hashtag pay George Nick Bosa. And I was like, oh my god, already year 3 into his contract.
I don't recall seeing a single pay Fred Warner. I'm not even trolling, to be honest. I don't really recall one.
I did see a few pay Fred Warners out there, less than the pay Trent Williams that we saw this same offseason. We saw pay Trent Williams quite a bit. Yeah, but with Fred Warner, like you said, I personally don't think he has gotten to his ceiling as a player. I think there's more that you can unload from Fred Warner. But from the current player you have, say, if this is his ceiling, say this is it, like there's no climax, this is the climax. You have an all-pro linebacker. So you're not giving this contract based on potential. You're giving this contract based on current state of the franchise of Fred Warner. And that current state's the best in the NFL, and if there is that ceiling that I think he can get to, this is a steal. This is a steal, especially if this deal is front loaded and he has a high cap hit next year. By the time that year 4 comes around, year 5 comes around, it's going to be a pretty freaking bargain deal compared to what the other linebacker contracts are then. In 2024, Fred Warner's probably going to be the 5th highest, the 6th highest paid linebacker. He's not going to be number 1.
He's not going to be number 1 for either much longer. As Darius Leonard's going to get signed soon. So that's the one thing. I think that was perfect timing. I mean, it wasn't going to make a difference in terms of whether Warner was going to sign or not. It didn't matter. He was going to get signed regardless. But to me, it's like, hey, you saved a few $1 million or more in whatever you want to consider guaranteed salary, bonus, whatever. You definitely saved a little bit. Now you can accrue that to whatever, a free agent signing for this year, next year, whatever. Not saying trying to be a cheap guy, because we talked about this about a friend who tries to get out of paying for drinks and stuff like
that.
It's
not that you're trying to be cheap.
It's a little bit competitive advantage. It's a little bit, and all that goes a long way. So thank God I did it now before getting into not a bidding war, but Darius Leonard. Now Leonard, he's gonna be. I guarantee you, this guy's gonna be only the top paid for no more than 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's a great point. And then you're going to have Devin White, who's going to get paid. You have Devin Bush in Pittsburgh, time's going to fly quick, and then he's going to go ahead and get paid. You have the other guy in Atlanta, Deion Jones, is going to get paid pretty well. So I'm telling you, by 2 years in, he may not even be the top 5 highest paid linebacker. And I think that's similar to what we've seen with Jimmy Garoppolo. When Jimmy Garoppolo got his initial contract, he was the top paid quarterback in the NFL. Now he's not even top 10 paid quarterback in the NFL. So I think this is a great signing for the 49ers because of where they are at as a franchise. They could just kick in a high salary cap next year to where the deal is going to look super cheap. You may just have one high cap hit year, and the rest of that is about average state of what it is for the linebackers pay scale. That's what I like so much about this deal. That's what I like so much about having a rookie quarterback. Because other than, say, Tom Brady and Steve Young, these high salary quarterbacks haven't really gotten it done. And so now next year, you're able to move off of Jimmy Garoppolo. This is the other thing I like about it, too, as far as going through 2026. You're able to keep Jimmy Garoppolo. And the reason why I like that is because Kyle Shanahan has gotten screwed time in and time out on the quarterback to play scale. Well, now he's able to go to a season with Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. We've like I've stated multiple times, I'm not the highest on Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think he's a top 12 quarterback in the NFL, but he could win you games. Trey Lance, from what I've seen from him, from what I've heard about him, even in the small mini camp that they had earlier this offseason, I fully believe that he could win games as well. That he's not going to be a Nick Mullins, that he's not going to be a CJ Beathard out there that's losing them games. I think he can win games at a high level as well. So if you have Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo both on the roster, one injury happens, that's not going to impede you from winning games. It's not going to impede you from not making the playoffs. So now, by getting this deal done of Fred Warner through 2026, having the 5 years kicking after this season, it allows you to keep Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster. It allows you to keep Fred Warner happy. And it allows you for your Trey Lance playbook to take over next season. If it doesn't take over some point this season, which it could, but I'm just saying the way the 49ers have worked these deals, they're in a place to where whatever happens at the QB1 spot is not going to hurt them. It's not going to hurt them like it hurt them in 2018. It's not going to hurt them like it did in 2020. There's no reason now that this team should not be in the playoffs.
Even if they didn't have Garoppolo, if they just traded him or cut him, they should still be in the playoffs, to be honest. I mean, this is still, regardless of who's at quarterback.
I'm saying, like, if say Trey Lance is, I'm just making an example. Say Trey Lance and whatever it is, Trey Lance can't play for 8 weeks. So, with this example, I'm saying they got rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. Say it's just Trey Lance and Josh Rosen. Say for whatever reason, Trey Lance can't play for 8 weeks. Josh Rosen starting those 8 games. I don't know if they make the playoffs. I don't because it's Josh Rosen. No. Now say Trey Lance starts those 8 weeks or vice versa. Jimmy starts and then they can't play for 8 weeks. And then now you either have A, Trey Lance, or B, Jimmy Garoppolo come in for those 8 games. There's nothing that should stop them from being in the playoffs. If it's Josh Rosen, then yeah, they probably won't get in.
Yeah, because he is. I mean, if he does get injured, which that who knows if he's going to get injured now. But I feel like now when everyone's talking about that, the way you're describing it, like, oh, if at least they have both, then you're just so scarred from seeing poor quarterback play, especially injury-prone quarterback play. And it's like, no, please, let's get 1 year where there's finally a contingency because you're so cursed and then thinking that's going to leak into Trey Lance, which you never know. There's the 1-5% tile of room for error chance of injuries that can happen because now it's like, great, now we don't have good football to watch. Not saying like Jimmy Garoppolo, you're gonna have great, but at least if he's there as a starting quarterback, it's more. At least they can compete, or at least you hope they can compete. Because I mean, we see the Garoppolo that played last year in most of the healthy games. He didn't really look good in any of them, to be honest. Dolphins game, Cardinals game looked trash. Seahawks game trash. Best game was the Rams a Sunday night, and even then he was whatever. I mean,
Deebo Samuel really.
Yeah, essentially that was all that it stemmed down to, but. Yeah, they you just had to get this deal done with Fred Warner. There's just no way you just gonna lock this in. Just the way he's done this. Now, and I was thinking actually the other day too about because we talked about on our All 49ers channel if DeMeco's Ryans if he starts to struggle can that talent survive? And I think everyone can kind of consistent say yeah they should be able to survive with the talent there. And a large part why is because of Fred Warner. The way he can probably tailor the way that he gets the coverage scheme. Maybe he can do a little in adjustments. I don't know how much freedom he has. But even then, if he just gets the people in front, I know Jimmy Ward is smart enough, and they all in the backside. Just hearing how he spoke with Grant and stuff like that, just the way that they have a lot of high IQ players back there, so they should be okay. They should be very fine, and I'm looking forward to see what he can do in now that he has fresh off this extension. Not saying he's going to change anything, but it's all right, cool. Now the bar is kind of high. Now you're getting paid pretty good. Let's see if you can keep it up there, and like you said, maybe even soar higher. Since he hasn't hit his ceiling.
Yeah, and the reason why you love paying a guy like Fred Warner, I don't think he's going to fall off, like you said. He's one of those just high character guys. He came out of San Diego. His high school knocked out my high school my junior year. Fred Warner was still a kid then. He wasn't on the field that day. He was, since I'm just a little older, I'm not going to age myself. I'm a little older to where he wasn't on the field. I was, but his high school knocked off mine. In which that high school is really known for athletics as well as academics. The guy went to BYU, which is a very, very solid academic school. And one thing you hear about him from every person that has high knowledge within the game, whether it's Richard Sherman, Robert Saleh, they all describe the mind of Fred Warner and how he can diagnose, how he can read and react in every single little play is huge. And he's not a guy that you see out there on the party scene. He's not one of those guys that you see, I'm doing me. He's one of he just works. He just works. And so giving out a contract like this, that's $40 million guaranteed, almost $100 million contract that it's worth up to. You feel confident about it because this guy's going to come in and work and act like if he's still on that rookie deal rather than this close to being $100 million man. So it's kind of like the same thing with George Kittle. George Kittle does, he's more outspoken than Fred Warner. Yes, but he's still not one of those I do me guys. He's still one of those blue collar hard workers and understands the path that it took to get here and appreciates that path so much that they continue that in their daily regimen.
Yep, it's a safe investment. They're homegrown talent, and they've, like I said earlier, elite talent, still scratching the surface, good health. It's no brainer, easy to do.
Yeah, usually these big contracts, they don't work out to your expectation when they come from other teams. When they come from other teams, they don't work out to your expectations.
These are the times you give these lucrative deals, not to random players. You homegrown talent. Take care of homegrown talent. Yes.
And the ones that do work out from other teams are usually the bargain deals. The bargain deals you get are the ones that work out. It's weird. Dante Whitner, for instance.
How did Quan Alexander work?
Quan Alexander was not a bargain deal.
How did D Ford work out?
Jerick McKinnon, he wasn't a bargain deal.
How did Tevin Coleman work out? Kevin Coleman's probably the best case scenario. Honestly, he probably was the best case.
That's kind of a bargain deal. $4 million a year.
Richard Sherman, Jason Verrett, bargain deals.
Yeah, Richard Sherman was, he got ripped on what his contract was, and the 49ers got a big,
huge return.
Huge return because he didn't reach his incentives. So the bargain deals are the ones that usually work out, and the ones that are more lucrative, you want those to be homegrown talent, and those ones tend to work out a lot more than the ones you spend on free agents. So I love this signing. Obviously, like I said, I live here in San Diego. Fred Warner's from San Diego, have a ton of ties together. So it's always exciting to see when you pretty much live and breathe and talk about a certain franchise that you have some connection off the field, mutual connections, I should say, not direct connection, or else he would have been on this show with you and I today talking about it. Maybe one day we'll plan for that. We'll see. But let's go ahead and shift gears here. We've been talking about Fred Warner for almost 20 minutes. I want to talk about somebody else who also signed his deal today, but it was a rookie one, not a lucrative one, not a close to being $100 million one. Much lower than that, but way more than I receive. So this is Trey Sermon. Is it realistic to say Trey Sermon can win the Offensive Rookie of the Year this season?
No, it's not. It's not.
Okay.
I'm not. It's not because they don't. There's no featured backs in Kyle's system ever. And even when Raheem Mostert was rolling in 2019, he still was not a featured back. Maybe that's because that's what he's best at. But I mean, they thought they were going that way in 2020, and the dude just started breaking down, easily. But it just ultimately proves, like, when has a guy ever been like such a heavy course, big, I'm gonna do everything myself? No, he wants a nice. You're a baseball guy. He loves that platoon system. He loves using a nice bullpen of talents to go out there and get his thing. And it's smart because now you have fresh legs in there constantly. The offensive line is moving around. That defensive line is getting tired. Meanwhile, you have this running back who's like, hey, they've been gassing you for 5-6 plays. Let me come up here. I have freaking 100% juiced up legs. I'm ready to go bash some heads and go dust you. So I just don't see. Maybe there'll be games where he's going to look like the feature back and the stud. I expect that because honestly, I feel like I'm more excited for Trey Sermon than most rookie. I think him and Lance are neck and neck for me, but Sermon's like, I'm ready to see him, Mostert, and whatever Wilson, whoever else they can use behind them. But if the only realistic one here, to be honest, for me on the 49ers is Trey Lance, just because it's the quarterback. I mean, we just saw last year Justin Herbert, as phenomenal season he has, steal Justin Jefferson's Offensive Rookie of the Year award away from him, and that guy went all pro. I just think even if Lance misses like the first 4 games, which, I think they would probably pull the plug on Jimmy around there if he's playing terrible and just insert him or whatever. I think if he can still look solid, especially get the 49ers to the playoffs or be part of that reason why they're at the playoffs, then he's definitely going to be in the running for that case. But then you got to look at other competition. Who else is out there? But I think in just terms of if you're looking at the 49ers, if it's Sermon, no, because I think no matter what, I think Lance is going to be the one that overshadows him.
Okay, how about this? What about best rookie running back of the year?
I'll take that.
It doesn't have to be yards. It doesn't have to be yards.
No. I'll take that because the Jaguars are messing up Travis Etienne or Travis Etienne already. They're trying to turn him into a wide receiver, which is stupid. Which is like, yeah, the guy's capable. What are you doing? You're taking him out of what made his moneymaker. It's like when the 49ers were like Solomon Thomas, moneymaker interior, edge. Go there now. Like, what are you doing? Come on, man. What are we doing here? No, I think I feel very strongly about that. He'd be the best, if not one of the best. But I think I'll say definitely right there for sure at the top because Travis Etienne is the only other one I would consider that would be up there.
What about Najee Harris?
Or Najee Harris. Najee Harris is pretty much the only one there. But I think I definitely could see Sermon be like, yeah, this guy looks like probably the best back because Harris, I feel like they're going to they don't trust Big Ben over there. They're going to load the box like crazy. And I don't think the running scheme compared to what Kyle Shanahan runs here with his outside zone, they just want the running backs to get as far as you can and, get explosive plays. I feel like Sermon's going to have more explosive plays than Najee. Not saying like, of course, he's not a better player, but just Shanahan, just the way they've already structured the offense with how he wants. He already knows how it works. In 2019, we saw it worked, how explosive the running backs were. Versus like you saw in 2019 with Connor and all these players, like it was just like, whoa, like this guy they're working really hard for those yards. So they're all going to keep their eyes on Najee in Pittsburgh and just be like, let flimsy arm Roethlisberger try to do something because that guy's arm pretty much fell off last year. And you can probably say the same thing. What say it?
I saw that they posted, I think it was Rap Sheet or the other one from ESPN. They posted, a lean, mean Ben Roethlisberger, and you just see like this dad.
Yeah, gut it.
Like a beer.
I'm like, lean?
I get called fat. I get called Pablo Sandoval by Jose here. And this guy's getting called lean and mean.
Leo's lean and mean then. Shoot, in that case, goddamn, getting his carbs from I can't even say it. I'm gonna laugh too much, but I was gonna say Corona Familiar, but no, pretty much like I think that's what it comes down to, just because Najee's a better talent, but Sermon's in the better position, and it's just and AFC is just much more tougher, especially the AFC East. I mean AFC East, AFC North,
offensive line.
Yeah, so I think it's significantly more favorable for Trey Sermon to be the best running back this year for sure.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I think I'll relate this season as far as expectation level offensively, not win-loss record, but offensively as far as production, where they were the number 2 ranked rushing offense in the NFL. I think they're closer to that in 2019 than they will be to 2020. Mainly so, I think their offensive line will be better. Alex Mack is there. He's able to call out protections. I'm really high on Daniel Brunskill because I understand the job he's been tasked has been really, really freaking difficult. You're playing swing tackle, you're playing guard. Oh, hey, now go ahead and pick up center and learn the defenses and call it out. Just I don't expect anyone to get that job, whether it's a guy from the AFL like Daniel Brunskill or if it was someone that was a first round draft pick. It's just too difficult of a task to do. But now they got Alex Mack, Aaron Banks. I think he shouldn't be improvement over Tom freaking Compton at right guard this season. So you would hope for a better quarterback play rather than Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard playing the games amounts that they did. You hope to have more of George Kittle. You hope to have more of Deebo Samuel. So I think they're closer to 2019 than they were in 2020. And where I relate that to is in 2019, you had 137 carries from Tevin Coleman. I believe that's probably going to be Trey Sermon's number, is around that 1/3. I would say 140 to the 150 range, just because there's an extra game there. There's an extra, there's 17 games now rather than 16 like in 2019. So I think 140 to 150 is that sweet spot for Trey Sermon. But if you're running the ball for 140, 150, you're not going to cruise over 1,000 yards. It's just not going to happen. And I don't think a running back could win Offensive Rookie of the Year in a quarterback league where a bunch of quarterbacks were taken in this previous draft, whether it's Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, who's going to start for the Jets, Trevor Lawrence, who's going to start for the Jags. It's obviously going to go to one of those quarterbacks. So for a running back like Trey Sermon, he's got to go crazy. He's got to put up like 1,800 yards in order to win Rookie of the Year or at least have his name in the discussion. And the carries just aren't going to match that opportunity to rush for 1,800 yards, or else
he should have passed the game too.
Yeah,
he could probably get like 30 catches
rushing. I'm talking about just rushing yards in total. Yeah, well, hell, you're basically putting him in Tevin Coleman's role from 2019. Tevin Coleman had 30 targets, 21 receptions.
They'll probably still consider that though.
His all-purpose was around 800 yards, Tevin Coleman's, but I think Trey Sermon could have an all-purpose more closer to 1,000 than what Tevin Coleman had, because I think he's just a better talent than Tevin Coleman. He's more of a physical runner. Tevin Coleman had the speed. He had good size. He just wasn't very physical. Trey Sermon's more of a physical runner. He has, I think, but Tevin Coleman's a really good route runner. And he was decent as a receiver. So I guess they're more similar as receivers. But I just find him as a harder tackle, if that makes sense. Yeah. Harder to bring down than a Tevin Coleman. And then if you have Raheem Mostert doing what he did for Tevin Coleman, that's just going to keep Trey Sermon healthy, keep him, as far as like fresh legs. He's not going out there too many times and rushing the ball for 25 times per game. He's probably going to be closer to 15. So his legs are going to be a little more fresher, and this guy has way less mileage than what Tevin Coleman had in 2019. So I think Trey Sermon, realistically, maybe 1,000 all-purpose. If you get 1,000 from all-purpose from Trey Sermon, this offense was nasty. This offense was nasty.
About Matt Breida too. You can maybe consider him in the Matt Breida role too, if you want to see it in that case.
Matt Breida had 123 rushing attempts. I think the Matt Breida role is going to be probably Gallman with Jeff Wilson Jr.
But Breida was more of the feature back the first half of the year until he got injured, and then he came back and then fumbled in shoes, and then he was gone. That was it.
He was
pretty much his fate was once he fumbled, what was it, the Atlanta game? Once he fumbled that last one, it was like it was over. It was done.
Yeah, like didn't even see him Like he
Nope.
didn't even get a snap in the Super Bowl. Not one snap. Not one offensive snap in the Super Bowl. He was just a special teams player.
He got like 1 or 2 snaps in Green Bay NFC Championship game, but that was like fourth quarter at that point.
Well,
And I think
they blew him out.
Yeah, that guy was done. He was so sweet though that first half of the year, just ripping off against the Browns and everyone else. That was just nasty.
Man, yeah, he only gets 120 carries a season, and he could barely stay upright just with that. So that's why I think the draft of Trey Sermon is very, very smart for the 49ers because, one, the guy has not too much mileage in his college career. He wasn't like a Saquon Barkley used player in college or even a Najee Harris used player. His roles was minimum compared to that, but the talent's there. So I think that's where it's smart because you get a guy with little mileage, but you're able to also protect Raheem Mostert and have him be that 10 carry guy rather than the expectation of a workhorse. So I would say realistic. Yeah, top rookie running back is absolutely realistic for Trey Sermon. Offensive line is better in San Francisco than it is Pittsburgh. Play caller is a lot better in San Francisco than Pittsburgh. Jacksonville, that's just, Jacksonville. I don't really need to say much about that. Javonte Williams, I'm really high on him, but he's in Denver where he's with Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay. So I don't even think he's going to get an opportunity to have, say, 120 carries. I don't think he has that. And I just like, I'm not like, I go, because I'm not trying to like be a homer. I'm just being realistic. And I think he could definitely be the top rookie running back of this season. The rest of their careers is a different story. I'm talking about specifically towards this season. I think it's set up pretty nicely for Trey Sermon. Now, he is not a guy that needs to blow anybody away in camp, Trey Sermon. No. I think that's something that's just going to happen naturally. But if somebody needs to have an impressive training camp, whether it's to earn a 53-man roster spot or continue to be the starter in their role or just have to continue to be a role player, like say wide receiver 3 or or RB3 to where you're going to get 100 carries on the season, who needs to have an impressive training camp? If you had to choose one guy, or maybe if you want to list a couple, it's up to you.
Yeah, I'm just going to stick to one guy. There's plenty of, dude, this is like, you can take your cream of the crop here. You can go look at quarterback and say it's Trey Lance or Garoppolo if you want to make an argument for either or. Go maybe not the running back position. That might be the most solidified in safety. But I think I'm going to have to go with Jalen Hurd. Jalen Hurd, because they already announced when the last time Kyle and John spoke with us, they all said, yeah, D Ford, Bosa, Hurd, they're all expected to be ready, that first day of training camp. Like, okay, well, let's just say that's probably that first week's going to be with some limitations, and eventually build up to that. And I guess you can even throw in a little bit of preseason if you want. Jalen Hurd really needs to like pick up the pace here, because large reason why it was like, no, they don't really need N'Keal Harry or whoever else you're thinking of, because wide receiver is the most spent draft capital spot if you include the Emmanuel Sanders trade that the 49ers have spent, more than even defensive line. We all know how much they love the defensive linemen. At some point, there needs to be a return on investment from these positions. Some of these things is kind of Kyle's fault and like handling, Dante Pettis and such. I feel like Richie James not getting enough shots, but I just don't think he's high up on the favoritism ladder with Kyle Shanahan. And essentially, the only one you can really consider really seeing getting role play at some point this season is Jalen Hurd. Why? He was taken 67th overall. That's kind of a high value right there, and you don't really want to wave the white flag that early. I know he's had 2 pretty bad injuries 2 years in a row. That's pretty wild. This guy cannot catch a break. Hopefully this year is that break. And as much as he's going to get brought along slowly, which he should, he's still going to need to start to make some wild things. And it starts with training camp. It doesn't need to be stellar that great, but it needs to be impressive. Like, wow, he looked impressive, because they're already – you got to imagine what the lens they're going to look at him in. In fact, this guy's coming off 2 not gruesome injuries, but, 2 really severe injuries in a row, and he's looking pretty sweet. Okay, now they're going to start looking at him like maybe more in a wide receiver 3 or 4 role, and then start, because – 2019, I think, if I recall right, in training camp when I was there, he was supposed to have like some nice role play in that year. He was the wide receiver 3, and
from what I heard, he was the best wide receiver in camp, better than Deebo Samuel. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
he looked really good. He looked really good. I was only there for like maybe half the practices that year, but no, he was really good. Yeah. So I just don't think they definitely didn't forget about that. But that's why I'm saying he just needs an impressive training camp at this point because now now we're looking at year 3 here. We need someone to step up. Kendrick Bourne's gone. That's why you have a veteran like Sanu, who you hope is going to hold it down there when they can also platoon other areas of the wide receiver position for 3, 4, and 5, however you see fit. But Hurd definitely starts to step up, and he needs something there. Otherwise, he could eventually not see himself in a role at any point this season.
Okay. I kind of hate you went with the wide receiver position because that's where I'm going to. But with the different player, my guy is Richie James Jr. He needs to have an impressive training camp. And when I say impressive training camp, I'm not saying as a return man in camp. Who the hell can't just, catch punts in camp and look good? Look, with a little bit of sauce out there. Like, who can't do that? I'm talking about as a route runner. I don't know if you recall this, Jose, but he had an amazing game against Green Bay, 182 yards. If you look at his route tree in that game, it was schemed open. It was just Kyle Shanahan, Nick Mullins had the most trust in Richie James to play that role over a fresh, new to the team in River Craycraft or a Kevin White. And a lot of that was he wasn't winning off routes. Like he didn't just, break off the corner and get himself open. Kyle Shanahan got him open. If you look when he scored his only touchdown in that game, it was a busted coverage and he was standing by himself and he caught the ball, almost fell down while catching the ball, and then made one guy miss and score. It was really, really easy game for him as a production standpoint. And I say why he needs to have an impressive training camp, because as of right now, I don't think he makes this team. I don't. And I think that they would have, what's his name that they got from the Cardinals? Trent Sherfield. I don't see them keeping 2 special teamers. I really, really don't. Not after a season you just got dwindled with injuries. I think you keep your top 5 wide receivers, and then one special teamer that's a wide receiver. And I think that one special teamer that's a wide receiver is Trent Sherfield. And I think Trent Sherfield can do a little more than Richie James outside of being schemed as a wide receiver. We all been saying, like, even I caught myself saying it, like, why isn't Richie James Jr. getting, more action as a wide receiver 3 or, on the offensive side of the ball? Why isn't he getting more action? Why isn't he getting more action? Well, you watch the tape of it and he's just not beating DBs as a wide receiver. A lot of his stuff is on a screen, or just busted coverage and he's left wide open by the defense and Kyle Shanahan schemes able to get him open. So it's been more of that stuff for Richie James Jr. I think that's why he hasn't solidified it himself as, say, a top 3 or 4 wide receiver on the team. And I bring him up because they just signed Watson, claimed him off of waivers from the Los Angeles Rams. And guess what Watson is? He's a return specialist that plays the wide receiver role. Watson had better kickoff returns, net average than Richie James Jr. He had better net in punt returns than Richie James Jr. in 2020. So I think Richie James Jr., he's going to be the oddball out. And my 5 wide receivers is Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Mohamed Sanu, Jalen Hurd, if healthy, and not on the PUP list, Jalen Hurd. That's 4. I think Sherfield makes it as the special teamer. That's 5. And I think that 6th spot is going to be either River Craycraft or Juwan Jennings, and not Richie James Jr., because I think Juwan Jennings, I haven't really seen too much of him because he didn't play at all last year. You were at a couple practices. I wasn't at any practices, but from what I heard during mini camp this year, he looks completely different as a route runner than last season. So I think he has potential to be a better route runner than what we've seen from Richie James Jr. and River Craycraft. I think that guy is definitely a better route runner than Richie James Jr. So I would lean towards those are probably going to be your 6 wide receivers, with Craycraft and Juwan Jennings battling out for a role, and Richie James Jr. I think he's just the odd man out. That's why he needs to impress in training camp. He needs to create separation, when they're running team drills, when they're running 7-on-7, 11-on-11. He needs to create some separation, because if he doesn't, if he's not winning off his routes and he's not, creating the separate, I think his time in San Francisco is done. I really do.
See, we had different points of attack with wide receiver. One was one for a role. Another one was, hey, this guy's fighting for a roster spot. There's still some difference there, at least. That's one thing you got to get different. I think the person I was close to saying Trey Lance, only because, like, if he has an impressive training camp, then it doesn't matter what
He doesn't need it. He doesn't need it.
No, he doesn't. I think because the only reason why I would say that is because it's a little bit harder for him to get that much growth when the season's going, because you only get so many reps during the season. At that point, all of that's game planning. And if Jimmy Garoppolo is a starter, most, if not all, those first team reps are going to him. So the only way they go to Lance is if really more so like they really know he's getting ready, which I feel like maybe I just don't know where they can actually see that. And unless they have to for sure, I think for sure they're probably going to take like a quarter of the snaps, first team reps, and give him to Lance just because they have to develop him. But yeah, this is the point where he really can expedite everything and win it. Otherwise, I think more so it's going to be more of a slow staggering progression through the season. And unless Jimmy Garoppolo gets injured or makes it convincing that he can't do it, that'd be the only point I could really say for that point. But it doesn't, they're right. It doesn't really need it, but at least like, it's not like the wide receiver spots where it's like, those are more like, hey, these guys really need to do their thing, Hurd and James Jr., or else it's their roles, their positions are very in danger.
Yeah. And, can't think of anyone else that needs to have that type of big impression on the team, at a pivotal spot.
Maybe Brunskill, just because.
I think he makes the team regardless. I don't think.
No. I think just in terms of starting spot. Mm-hmm. That's what I say. You can just do it like either way, to be a starter, role player on the team. It's varying one. That's why I like when I'm making an article this week. It's just gonna be like 5 players that need it, and each of them's gonna have a different case in terms of why they need one.
Okay, and with Jimmy, I don't think Jimmy needs.
No, I don't think it matters.
I don't think he needs it.
No.
I brought his name up during the Fred Warner deal just because I do believe that there is some involvement between the two things there. Like you can't really put too much onto this year's salary cap of that deal if Jimmy Garoppolo's on the roster. They obviously didn't put it on this year. If it's a 5-year deal and it's through 2026, that means that nothing really is on this year besides the signing bonus, which it's not going to affect the team's cap hit. So I don't think he needs a new or an impressive training camp. If he just has an okay one, I think they kind of just go out to the gate with him. But I don't want to talk quarterbacks with that whole drama right now too much. What's the most exciting division matchup that you see so far?
Oh, that's a good one. It feels like they're all going to be exciting, right? But I think some are going to be more unique than others. I mean, I think you would, off the top of your head, especially most of our fans are probably going to say, "Oh, Seattle." It's always when in Seattle specifically, because it doesn't matter where it's home or away. If between all 3 of these teams, whether it's home or away, like, oh, this team, that. But to me, it's a no-brainer still. It's the Rams. It's the Rams, the most exciting division matchup, whether it's here or there. And I'd probably argue here because I think that one's going to be a Sunday night game again. Am I right? It's going to be a primetime game, I think, one of the Rams game. I think the one at home again. That one is going to be exciting. It's the first matchup. Before I can even get to the other obvious points in terms of Stafford and everything else, like McVay's a great coach, probably a top 5 head coach, and he's a phenomenal offensive play caller. He's good friends with Kyle Shanahan, and he's been letting Shanahan whoop him up and down the turf field for 2 years straight, 4 games in a row. And now that he has Matt Stafford, I am sure he is happy. He's like, finally, avenge week 16, avenge my embarrassment from the last week at SoFi when Nick Mullins had 5 turnovers, but I couldn't win because I had an incompetent quarterback. It makes a world of a difference. Not only does that shave off those turnovers, now the offense is going to be optimal. He can take. We're talking about at the beginning about ceilings with Fred Warner. Now the ceiling of that offense is completely raised exponentially. That's going to be something to watch. And now he doesn't have his arch nemesis, which is not Kyle Shanahan, but Robert Saleh, because Saleh almost always got the best of McVay. Watching those two chess match was great. It was like football porn to me, just watching those two go at it. Just the way the adjustments, man. It was just like, what is he gonna like? I remember week 16, like they were throwing punches and adjustments. Week 16, 2019. That's problem. That was nuts. Just the way they were doing that chess match. But that's obviously these matchups have always been great, but now they're more because there's animosity in terms of revenge, better quarterback. Now the matchups are going to be better, but also now Jimmy Ward, when he was on with Grant, and all that smack talk about Matthew Stafford, and now everyone picked that up from NFL Network to ESPN to so on and so forth. Everyone heard that. Everyone's heard that now. And you know what? That's funny what Ward brought up in his interview that I don't know why he always goes at me. And I'm like, you know what? He does always go at you. I thought about that, but I never thought it out loud. I brush it over because I'm not smart enough to key in on those things. But it's like, you know what? He does. So it's a lot that I think that's definitely going to be something that interview, that quote at least, is going to be brought up the first week these two play each other. So now it's just the fire was already big. This dude Jimmy Ward just threw a whole propane tank into that fire now. So I'm ready to see this thing, and if there's anything more fans to get mad about, it's like NorCal, SoCal. So that's even, if you want to throw that into, I know it's not the same in terms of Giants and Dodgers, but still it's like, hey, if we can leak that into there. I know at least like Bay Area fans do because most Giants fans and Niner fans. So I think that's going to be exciting just because, they've already been exciting the last 4 years. Now it's even so much more. Now the heat is higher. I'm ready to watch that game.
The interview that went viral, basically.
Yeah.
Went on ESPN, went on NFL Network. The interview that went viral. Yeah, Jimmy Ward and Grant Cohn. So shout out to Grant. I know you're watching. No, you're not. It's fine. And then, so I look at it. The first one is against the Seahawks, week 4, week 5, Cardinals, week 9, Cardinals, week 13, Seahawks, and week 18, Rams.
That week 18 is going to be great too.
Yeah, that's the last game of the season. I'm going to say it's week 13 at Seattle. And I'm going to say it's this for that reason. First matchup against Seattle at home, just week 4, it's early on in the season. At Arizona, week 5, same thing. It's early. I don't think that's an exciting matchup, but I think it's a matchup that the 49ers need to win. It's an important matchup because they struggle in Arizona quite a bit. They've won once in Arizona in freaking a long time. I think like in 6 or 7 years, they've only won one game in Arizona as a road team. And then they have a home game against Arizona. Like I said, it's an important one, but not one that I'm going to write as exciting. Week 18 against the Rams. That's who knows what the hell the season's going on at that point. Are the 49ers locked in as a 1 seed? Are they not? Week 10, it's a home game. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. The whole Matthew Stafford drama, all that. We're going to go ahead and see it. But it's just something else when it's at Seattle, week 13. It's going to come in December. So about a week before my son arrives. Shout out Leo Jr. So if mom's listening to this, you could hear it from her stomach. But it's just one of those back end of the stretch games to where it's very important who's battling for the division at that point. You're going to be up against Ahkello Weatherspoon. You're going to be up against freaking Kerry Hyder. So some former 49ers that were just on your team last year are going to be, up against you at that point in the season. I don't know. It's just at Seattle with that crowd, it just gets me going every time because
on prime time,
stand the Seahawks on prime time Sunday Night Football at Seattle just gets me going every time. It's like playing against the Cowboys or the Packers, but it just means so much more in this era of football when it's Seattle. They're kind of taken over as public enemy number one, and being that it's in December, it's an important stretch. Sunday Night Football. It's exciting. It's going to be double the importance because you would figure that they're going to be more competitive than the Arizona Cardinals in terms of standings. It's exciting to me. It's exciting. Anytime you play in Seattle against these guys in a game that counts, not in a game that's kind of a wash, like when they played there last year. Even though there was no fans, last year's game was kind of like a wash. It didn't have the importance like in 2019 where that place was just rocking. The 49ers came out there on Sunday Night Football. I'm going to get that type of vibe in week 13, and I think that's what's going to make that just crazy exciting.
I'll leave on this point only because my headphones are dying. I heard it a minute ago. I was like, oh God, I thought I charged them. But how about this? Week 10, and I'm going to cop out. I'm going to say even week 18, the way the league structured that schedule, that tells me they view these as the premier matchup to watch. Because week 10, no one cares about the first. Well, that's a lie. The first 4 weeks of the season versus like the middle of the season, everyone's still essentially kind of creating their identity, figuring out, hitting the stride. By week 10, everything should be figured out. You're hitting a stride. You already know who you are. You know, you're hitting like all right, this is starting to wane on us a little bit. Now we're battle tested. And it is on prime time. I'm not tripping at the Rams and
week 10 is
on prime. Okay.
Monday night football.
So both of them are juice. Oh, Monday Night Football. Damn it. That's right. I have that day off to go to actually cover that game. But yeah, that freaking that one's gonna be a good one just because of all the hype, and at that point it's the playoff picture is gonna start being painted. And then you start flipping the pace of week 18. That's gonna be the last game. There's no doubt in my mind that week 18 is gonna mean something. There's no way it's not irrelevant. I mean, hell, even when the 49ers were bad last year, they were still relevant until week 12, week 13, 14. So, I mean, there's no way in hell that game's not going to mean something. I mean, it means something in 2019. It meant all the way that's the last down when Greenlaw laid them out. And now it's, I think that one's going to be – it's just going to be that much more sweeter to watch. It's just I'm just ready to watch this game. And maybe, like you said, how it excites you as a fan, I think maybe it excites me as a just a general fan watching it, just watch the Rams lose and get them pissed off again. So that's another incentive for me.
Like, I don't think – I know it could get very tiring once you start covering a team. I've known a lot of beat writers who used to be a fan of a certain team, and then now they're not a fan of a team anymore. They just love the game essentially at that point, and they hope for a lot of players to have success. I don't think I could ever lose that fandom. I don't think I can. So if I ever start covering them on the beat, which I don't know if that would be a desire of mine because that's pretty freaking. It's a lot of work.
It might happen if you did it for another team a little bit because you're going to start not paying attention as much.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like I would just revert to myself as a professional fan at that point rather than not being a fan. I would be a professional fan. Won't be as crazy. Won't be as toxic. Be professional about it. But I know
you want the violence.
I know your headphones are dying. I know your headphones are dying. Really quick, this will be the off subject topic here. A lot of people related to Devin Booker and Kobe Bryant. I bring this up because of your shirt. A lot of people are just saying Devin Booker, Kobe Bryant, Devin Booker, Kobe Bryant, Devin Booker, Kobe Bryant. Well, if you add up the 8 plus the 2, what is that?
10.
10 plus the 24, what is that?
34.
What number does Giannis wear?
34.
Maybe Kobe was on Giannis' side the whole time. They barely started talking about Kobe.
And that's why they showed that tweet. That's why they showed that tweet too. And they're both was when he said MVP 2 years later. All right, finals championship 2 years later, did it. So I mean, goddamn, that was amazing. It's easily. That's definitely like one of the best finals performances I've ever seen in my life ever. That was amazing. I'm so happy they won. I'm so happy he won. Mm-hmm. I'm so happy CP3 lost. A little flopping little squirrel. So I'm just so happy he lost. I feel bad for Devin Booker, but I especially feel bad for Monty Williams. This is the only reason why I wanted the Suns to win. I love Monty Williams, the coach, ever since he was the coach of the Hornets. That guy is so good, so smart, especially when his wife passed, I think 5 years ago or less. That was tragic, just the way he found out and did it to him. I mean, the guy plays the game, and after watching his presser and how he you saw how it hurt because he really wanted to win it and feel like some type of maybe not a closure, but just feel something to fill a void or do something. And the fact that he went in that locker room, who the hell? Maybe coaches do that, or I wouldn't say often, obviously, but maybe there's been.
I've
done
never
before
seen that. I've never seen it recorded.
See, the only reason why it's never been done is because it's not recorded. Maybe it doesn't get recorded. We don't know if that was happening 30 years ago, but I'd lean towards no, it wasn't happening. But the fact he did that was, my God, dude. That guy, at that point, ain't that the love of the game? That's the goddamn love of the game. That's a coach you play for, and you wonder why they went that far. And that's why it's oh, look, it was CP3. No, let's give Monty Wyndham some goddamn credit. All right, CP3 is not taking you that much over the hump. I mean, the Rockets, even before CP3 got there, was always a top 3 C4 contender. I mean, he got there. It just kind of rounded it out. But I mean, Monty Williams, and
dude. The Suns, they were undefeated in the bubble last year, so they were on the right track.
Yeah,
they didn't make the playoffs, but they were undefeated in the bubble, so they were on the right trajectory for sure before CP3 got there.
Yeah, those seeds were already starting to get planted. And, sometimes it takes that one player to take you over the hump, the Suns, CP3, and Drew Holiday, the Bucks, because Eric Bledsoe last year was just a semi above average defender. Other than that guy couldn't do anything. He used to be a good driver, but I don't know what he does now anymore. Shoot. I think he used to be with the Suns too. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he's the one that says, I don't want to be here anymore. The tweet that got him traded to the Bucks. I don't want to be here anymore. Damn, he would have played against. If he played better, he would have played against his old team.
Yeah, but he didn't. He was. I remember watching it last year because I remember I was in Vegas watching the game by myself at a bar, and I remember watching it because that was when the bubble was going on, and I was just like, Eric Bledsoe sucks now, dude. This guy does nothing. I was excited when he got acquired, but I was like, let's give him a nice little couple wins in the playoffs, but Drew Holiday, man. Drew Holiday was the Draymond Green of the Bucks after I saw he had a plus 131, 128 or something like that. So shoot, it works. Tip to the cap, and I hope this sets the tone in terms of ending super teams because goddamn, that's so goddamn annoying.
Yeah, he started shooting like Draymond too.
For real. the whole final except for game 5 where he took off. My goodness, but that was a good finals. Anyone who thought this final was gonna be boring because it's Milwaukee. I hate when they make it a city thing. Milwaukee against Phoenix. Watch the team,
Look at the
dude.
roster.
Care about the talent.
Yeah.
Who gives a hell? Who gives? Honestly, dude. I think that's so stupid. Oh, you got the markets. Yeah, but I mean, if you even if you're a casual sports fan, if you could just watch and see who's on the team. Oh, okay, Booker, Giannis, best player in the league. Cool, let's watch it. I mean, I was happy for it, so I thought it was exciting. I'm pissed I didn't get to see more than a game and a half of it because I work at night, so most of the games are where I'm working, so it sucks.
Yeah, that's true. And you're not going to record it and watch it later. Probably just
it's impossible. It's even hard for me to go back and watch Game Pass unless it's just looking at a streak of plays I just want to look at just because just to recall because if I wrote it on a note that I need to look back on or something. But yeah, that's hard to go back on, dude. I like to have my reactions at that time and then just slowly build back to it. No, you're not doing it again in the moment where it's at.
Yeah. Well, next year hopefully it's the Mavericks. Or the Warriors representing the Western Conference. The Lakers for Jose only. And some of you, because there's a ton of 49ers Laker fans out there as well.
I want a Lakers Warriors West Finals.
Ooh.
I want that. I will go to.
You heard about that? Lakers and Westbrook? You can't be a fan of that. If they do,
you can't be a fan hell no. I hate Westbrook, dude. Westbrook sucks.
LeBron needs 3-point. He needs 3-point shooters on his team. The way he works, drives the lane, kicks it out. Westbrook's not that guy.
He does. He needs that. So Steph Curry, free agent, come to the Lakers.
Don't. I'm gonna have to end this because that's just awful.
Hey, the reason why Clay was on that Space Jam 2 is because they're getting ready for him to be that number 2, number 3 next to LeBron. So it's
LeBron would go to Golden State before Curry or Thompson go to the Lakers.
LeBron would never go to Golden State after getting his ass whooped for so many years. That would make him look terrible. He would never do that.
Absolutely. It's LeBron we're talking about.
No, because
LeBron
what
we're
teams did
talking
he
about.
go? He left to the Heat. The Heat had no correlation to him losing. It was always the Celtics.
But he went to Kobe's team. That's the part that I hate so much
And the
about
Lakers had nothing
him
to do
going
to
to the
him.
Lakers. But it was
That was, the writing was on the
Kobe.
wall.
It was always Kobe versus LeBron. It was always Kobe versus LeBron. That was the whole debate. And then you go to Kobe's team. Like, it's just weird. Yeah. It's super weird.
It was just debate just because of how they just said, oh, they're the two greatest players, and it never happened. If those two had battle, if the Lakers and Cavs had battles like the Warriors and Cavs did when LeBron was there, then sure, but that wasn't there. So he definitely could have go to the Warriors.
I don't think he has an ego, though. If he had an ego, he wouldn't have gone to Kobe's team.
LeBron definitely has an ego. That's why he always invents excuses.
for the team he plays for. Like, he'll play for anybody. As long as it's the right spot, he'll play for anyone.
I think for the Warriors he does because he still makes excuses for those times.
He can also
says,
go to the
I didn't
Warriors.
have Kyrie, I didn't have Love. They had KD, but he thinks when they came back from 3-1 it was legit too, when he was over there snitching and Kerry was like half healthy and all that stuff. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and
I don't know. It is hard to watch the Lakers because is there, but if Russell Westbrook goes, god damn it, it's gonna be very tough to watch. I'm just gonna be brick city.
They're not winning a championship if Westbrook's on that team.
No, they're not.
It just doesn't match. It just does. The play styles don't match. But look, hey, headphones dying. I know you got stuff to do.
And I gotta go to work. Damn it! They made us start like 30 minutes earlier now because my manager is one of those managers. She's one of those managers.
No. Oh yeah, the one that doesn't give you time off when you requested a month early. I understand. But
the one that looks at you hella crooked when you ask for a day off for a funeral. She did that, bro. She did that. She said she looked at me for like 10 seconds. She went on her computer for 3 minutes, didn't say nothing to me, and then she's like, "Okay." I'm like, not even like, "Oh God, what happened?" Or not asking what happened at least, but like, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, let me work through some things." She just looks at me like, "Sorry, I have to leave work for a day for an uncle that died, but sorry." Yeah. What kind of shit, man? Like, come on, man. Like, so
all right,
stupid.
man. Well, I hope you have a good time at work today. How about that? Well, hopefully you don't run into your manager too much today.
Nah, I will. That's part of the reason why she wants to have little meetings before, which are not productive at all. They're so dumb.